And, for a time, I was actually pretty hopeful that Suicide Squad might be fun. Clearly, we know they went into reshoots, and it was pretty obvious that they looked at the success of Deadpool and said,
what we need to do is have that over the top crazy violence mixed with the tongue firmly in cheek humor, except we'll show Deadpool. We'll do it with a PG-13 rating. Go figure.
So much for the Deadpool effect, causing a whole slew of darkly violent R-rated superhero movies. Suicide Squad ended up being a movie. I actually didn't dislike it as much as other people. I thought it was okay. Though I found the Joker absolutely obnoxious. And I just can't get into that whole weird face tattooing and the grill and the gold teeth. That stuff just didn't work for me. I agree that him generally being played up as a gangster works. And I did like when they've got him in the purplish tux later in the film. There's the problem of Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship.
Desire becomes surrender, surrender becomes power. You want this?
It's an abusive relationship. I did like Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn. I thought Will Smith was good as Deadshot. Oh yes, and I really liked El Diablo. I thought he was a reluctant villain, somebody whose powers had actually really destroyed everything he loved, and he didn't want to participate in anymore. I thought that worked real well. I thought that was one of the highlights of it.
Okay, and so I don't really have a ton more to say about Suicide Squad. It was, by the standards of superhero movies, and compared to Deadpool, kind of mediocre, but I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it well enough to not feel like I completely wasted my time sitting in the theater when I saw it. But I do have a little bit of advice for the filmmakers behind that one. So, the movie introduces everybody with kind of these splashy little dossier, here's how they got caught, or here's who they are, type moments. And then they introduce one character right before they go on the mission. He gets no splashy intro. He just shows up. They say, hey, this is Slipknot. Slipknot runs on out. Now, everybody's had bombs planted in them, in their heads, and those can be set off if they try and escape. That's kind of the purpose of them. If you get out of line, we're going to blow your head up. Well, one of the other characters, Boomerang, or Captain Boomerang, gets it in his head that he needs to see if it's true. So he convinces Slipknot to try and escape. Look, we'll both escape. And Slipknot, of course, he just watches as Slipknot jumps up into the sky and bam, his head explodes, he falls down. So, here's the thing. You've just told us the minute you introduced that character and he didn't have some splashy intro, you told us right there, this guy ain't gonna last long. He's just here to die. Had we gotten a nice splashy intro, then all of a sudden him dying kind of might make it seem like, oh, this is serious for these characters. They're really in danger, because we didn't, we had no reason to think Slipknot was going to die. He was introduced just like everybody else. He was made to look important, but they don't do that. He's almost identity free. He's not an interesting character right from the start. And so that's my advice. If you're introducing a character just to kill him off, still make them seem like they're important, so people don't just go, oh yeah, that guy's there to die. But while I didn't hate this one,
In the end, it's not enough of an improvement to make the series feel like, oh, okay, it's on the right path. They're fixing it. And then came Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, the first woman to helm a big superhero movie. Not the first woman to direct a comic book movie. That would go to Lexi Alexander, who directed, I think, a fairly underrated Punisher flick, Punisher Warzone. Patty Jenkins was brought on for Wonder Woman. We already knew Gadot could be a great Wonder Woman. We saw her do cool stuff in Dawn of Justice.
Wonder Woman was still kind of an unproven cinematic property. Everybody was nervous about it, especially Warner Brothers, it seemed. If a woman's directing your big superhero movie, that's risky. Marvel has been giving movies to cult directors who've never directed a big tentpole movie either, but nobody really gets hung up on the risk of this guy helming this movie. But I'm sure there's no Hollywood sexism. Moving on.
They had moved the film back to World War One, even though Wonder Woman was always associated with World War II in the past, like in comics and the original Linda Carter TV show. But it worked. It worked really well. It's a good setting. They used a villain I didn't even remember, Dr. Poison. And then, yet they also brought in Ares. I'm not crazy about the fact that they went to Zeus is her actual father. I always liked the sculpted from clay origin and the goddess gives her powers. But it is what it is. And frankly, Wonder Woman's good enough that I can get past that. Wonder Woman,
And Gal Gadot just has this really good she's really good at having a certain innocence to Wonder Woman, a beautiful fascination with the world, that especially once she's in the world of man.
Would you like to buy an ice cream?
Me?
Yeah, fresh ice cream.
Yes. Thank you.
8, please, sir.
There you go, pal. Keep the change.
Thank you very much, sir.
What do you think?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You should be very proud.
Thank you very much.
You should be very proud.
She can her character can be innocent, aggressive and determined, like ready for a fight, and yet incredibly compassionate, all at the same time. And it really does work so effectively in this film. And it overcomes a lot of the potential weaknesses. Wonder Woman is a unique type of hero. And that's always been true. But it's, as far as what we've gotten out of superhero films, I think she's very unique in the most positive way possible. I've enjoyed her in every film she's been in from the current DC universe. She's always a bright spot when she shows up.
And the film, when she first meets the guys that Steve Trevor pulls in for their mission, she's really turned off to them. She thinks these are dishonorable men, and really they are. I mean, they're not decent they don't seem to be very good people. But as the story progresses, she starts seeing, she starts seeing something inside of each of them, making them valuable, heroic men. She sees the good in lesser men. They're not all going to be Steve Trevor, where he just seems to be noble through and through. But these guys, they're broken individuals who will come through when they're needed. And I got to tell you, this scene just got me in the feels.
Maybe you're better off without me, yeah?
No, Charlie. Who will sing for us?
Yeah. Oh, no, please. Sing.
You asked for it. Green grow the rushes, green grow the rushes.
Who will sing for us? That's just a beautiful moment. The way she looks at a guy who feels like he has nothing to give, and she pulls out this one little thing that sparks his soul. I love that. And the film isn't perfect. It kind of, gets a little uneven at the very end. But it's so good all the way through the first 2/3 of that film. I just feel like I can't say that the final act ruins it. It's uneven. It's flawed, but it's still decent enough to not take the movie down. It's a good movie with good characters. The no man's land sequence, followed by almost instantly the saving of the village. Those are just darn near perfect action scenes. I've forgotten Etta Candy. What a great character. She's just effervescent. She's lovable, and she's just got a real spark of adventure to her too, and it just plays out so well. She's played by Lucy Davis, who I would venture a guess that, just like for me, most Americans would recognize her from the original British The Office. Probably the biggest disappointment to me about the World War I setting is Steve and Etta can't come back. not unless everything's set far in the past. Well, Steve ain't coming back no matter what. And really, what it comes down to is Wonder Woman found its key. It found its heart. And that's what's missing from the previous 3 films that we've gotten in the DC universe. They just don't connect on that level. But when it comes down to it, what was going to really tell us what path on where they were going as far as were things getting better, Wonder Woman was the hope, created the hope. Justice League was going to be the one that would let us be able to say, okay, yeah, things are looking better.